here's a refresher. In '95, the divisional round, you were Super Bowl champs coming in, but this was Favre's coming out party in the playoffs. They went up big early and won it 27-17. What do you remember from this one?
I remember playing myself. In other words, it was the same offense. Mike Holmgren had left San Francisco and taken the offense with him, and they were calling the same plays, the same audibles. Everything was about the game. I'm like, it's a mirror image of each other. And then when we lost, I'm like, we just got beat by ourselves. Like, this is the weirdest thing in the world. But it was very painful and started a whole other big problem that we just got rid of the Cowboys. Now we get the Packers. And so, here we go.
All right, let's continue the problems. In 1996, the divisional round the next year, you came into this game with cracked ribs. The old school rib protector, first series punt. Our Desmond Howard, shout out to Des with a punt return touchdown. What do you remember about this one playing hurt?
I played one series, and they told me if I took a shot that I'd be fine. But 2 weeks later, I was at BYU doing some rehab, and I'm like, my rib still kills me. I can't even move. And then like 2 weeks later, he goes, lay down. He went like this, pop, and popped my rib back into joint. That was the problem. If it would have just popped it back in, I could have played. That's my memory of that game.
I love that he's saying if they would have just popped it back in, I could have played. That was not my reaction to that.
Yeah,
Let's go to 1997. This was the NFC Championship the next year. So in this one, Favre hits Antonio Freeman early. We've seen that before. People don't talk about how good that defense was. I know Reggie White, the late great, sacked you in this one. I've heard that he would say nice things to quarterbacks when he sacked them. Do you remember what he said to you on this?
Yeah, he would always say, hey, Steve, how you doing? How's your dad? My dad helped him get an agent when he was coming out. He's like, how's your folks, I'm like, Reggie, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to, talk to me later. Reggie was the kind of guy, but you know what? With Gilbert Brown and Reggie White, you couldn't get going. Those two just kind of mucked the whole thing up, and it was playing the Packers defense at that time was the most difficult thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I believe you on that. All right, things do get better, Steve. Here we go. In 1998, the Wild Card game the next year. So you think right here, Favre's throwing the game-winning touchdown to Freeman, right? Under 2 minutes. But then this is going to happen. What do you remember from the final play to T.O.?
I remember that T.O. was open, and it was strange, but he was open. There was a little sliver of space, and he had a tough day that day, and he kept asking me, believe in me, throw me the ball, make sure I won't do it. I got some drops, a fumble. I said, T.O., you're the biggest, strongest, fastest guy we have. You're going to get the ball. And then when he did, with tears in his eyes, thanks for believing in me. I'm like, T.O., I told you, man. You're going to get the ball. Don't worry about it.
Great story.
That's hard for me to watch. That was my rookie year in Green Bay. I got to be Steve Young and scout team all week. But the touchdown that we thought we won that game on, you mentioned Mike Holmgren, Steve Mariucci, that same verbiage, the same audibles. Brett Favre audible to Q8 sprint right option, but he told Antonio Freeman in the huddle, hey, don't do
go in and go back
sprint
out.
Right option and go. In the game today, with Shanahan and LaFleur really knowing each other so well, what factor do you think that commonality of verbiage, audibles, same offense, how will that impact the game?
Well, the offense that they're running today, Matt, doesn't have as much, especially the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, I remember going to a game last year, the night before, and he did his first 15, and he laid out the plays and went through the whole thing, and I watched it. I'm like, he'd give the reads and what Jimmy needs to do and so forth. And I said, well, Coach, what about blitz? At the end of the thing, I said, you didn't say anything about blitz. He goes, well, don't worry. There's nothing to worry about. That blitz is handled. So the way that they do the offense today, there's not as many audibles. And that was what we always worried about. Q8, oh, we know what that is. And everyone screamed, So the fact is, Jimmy's not audibling much. And so the commonality is not that big of a deal. I think more than anything, it's just the familiarity and really the feeling when you're playing family, it's like it means more. Like it hurts more when you lose, and it means more when you win. So I think that's more than anything, that's probably a little bit of the commonality tonight.
Steve, sitting, on the set with you every Monday, every time there was a question concerning Jimmy Garoppolo, everybody wanted to hear from Steve Young. And now they're taking their show on the road to Lambeau Field. What has Jimmy Garoppolo showed you as of lately that makes him ready or poised to go in and try to beat Aaron Rodgers and this Green Bay Packers team? What has he showed you as of lately?
Yeah. Randy, he started the year and you could feel the weight of all that had happened in the offseason, which was a lot. I mean, they had 2 first-round draft choices to basically tell him, we don't want you. And you could feel the weight of that on him, and he wasn't sure how to work his way through it. You could see that it didn't, like, how do I fit? What is this going to look like? Then he gets hurt, and I think somehow that, a lot of times when you get hurt, you have to watch. And when you watch, you get perspective. And I got to feel like out of that, coming out of being hurt, you could see that the weight had been lifted off him. Somehow he just said, you know what, wait a second. Look, I'm playing with house money. Like, they don't want me, or they do, or I don't have to worry so much. And the weight of it seemed to come off of him. And you can see last week against the Rams in the series when he was bringing him back, he's laughing with Deebo Samuel. Used to be you could see the tightness in those moments with Jimmy. Not anymore. He's like, hey, I'm good to go. You want me? Great. You don't want me? Great. I'm good. We're all thumbs up, man. And it's like that game has helped him throw, when he throws an interception, it might cost the game. I don't see him kind of, oh no, here we go again. It's like, hey, we got the ball, let's go. And I think that whole spirit of it has changed him, and he's loved in the locker room. And so they don't want him to be down. They don't want him to be bummed out. They don't want him to be weighted down. And I think the whole locker room has responded to Jimmy just feeling like it's wide open, let's go do this.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.